Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Welcome to the latest episode of SRBB. Seems like no matter how far away we get from it, we continue to get new news about the 2017 and a little before, a little after cheating scandal. Seems like that just doesn't want to go away. And we'll talk about Manfred's love letter to Brian Cashman. We'll also talk about probably one of the hottest players in baseball right now. Coming up in the Angel segment. How are the Dodgers doing? Well, depends on what part of the week it is and what part of the lineup, apparently. It looks like MLB is going to be joining the NBA and soccer in something. All right, like I said, the cheating thing doesn't seem to go away. I mean, we're all still ticked off at the Asterix and Manfred, for that matter, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. We're always ticked off at him, but he's permanently in the timeout.
Right. I mean, because he doesn't have a clue about baseball. And, you know, with the Asterix, whatever happened with them is over. The players who were mainly responsible for all of it got off the hook. Recently, the letter that Rob Manfred wrote to Brian Cashman was released out to the world. We all now have seen. And with the exception of a couple of things that some redactions here, overall, it's all there. It talks about that filing the formal complaint that the Yankees filed in August of 2013 against the Red Sox, trying to steal signs and gain an advantage in the game. And it turns out that during the investigation, the Yankees essentially turned themselves in.
Yeah. The dumb criminals, I guess. Yeah, well, it's funny because the Yankees wanted MLB to investigate the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox are like, you need to investigate the Yankees, and it just seemed kind of back and forth between the two rivals. I mean, really, the letter, I think the most interesting part of the letter is why the Yankees didn't want it published, because everything in it is pretty much like we already knew. So it's not like we learned anything new. But one thing I do have a question is, you know, this is back, 2015, 2016, and how Manfred handled it. The Yankees were fined $100,000. And the money was given to MLB charities. But I wonder if the way Manfred handled it gave the Astros, like what's going to happen to us? If we do this, what's the worst that's going to happen to us? And so in a way, like in a backhanded way, Manfred is also at fault for the Asterix and continuing doing what they were doing, which is way worse. But he could have just put a whole, just stopped everything. And I think that the Asterix saw this as kind of the door is open a little bit here. And let's see how far we take it. Because if we're just fined, not a big deal.
Right. What's $100,000?
Yeah.
Not a big deal. We win the World Series, which they did. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more money from that.
Yeah, and they kept the piece of metal.
Right.
And they got their rings, and they should still have, they're still the Asterix. But I just wondered, that's what I kind of got when I was reading this letter. Was, there weren't any coaches or players that were named in the letter. there was an admission of relaying real-time information from the replay room to the Yankees dugout, both physically and via telephone, which you're not allowed to use a dugout phone to do that. So the Asterix were like, well, we're not going to use the dugout phone, so we don't get in trouble for that. Like they circumvented things. And that's what I kind of got out of the whole thing was
it was kind of like, here's a roadmap to get away with it. We're not using that technology.
Yeah.
Using this. We did this. We did something completely different. I also like that the Red Sox didn't just simply say, oh, they think we're cheating? Well, they're cheating too. They actually submitted a video clip.
Yeah.
From a Yankees-Angels game.
Uh-huh. It's like
the Yankees' own network.
Yeah. And it's like when an actor or, is going they put together a package of their acting, from a movie or show for like Emmys or the Oscars, and they put together like what they think is like the best scene or scenes in that. And that's what the Red Sox were doing. Like, look at this.
Look, that's an iPad, unauthorized, out in the bullpen. I think you're right. It really does look like, when they saw it, and even after it came out about the Asterix, most teams said we can do this, and then when they come, we can say, well, we'll tell you what happened, but you have to give us all immunity.
Yeah, it's like Manfred is just okay. Don't do that. You're not supposed to be doing that. Don't do that. And he never gives out any type of real punishment. There's never any real consequences. It's like your kids, if you tell them, oh, don't do that, or this is what's going to happen to you, but you never do the what's going to happen to you part. Well, they're going to keep doing whatever they were doing because you never.
Right. They
never
see
followed
that it's
followed
empty
through.
Threats.
Exactly. And that's what Manfred, $100,000, it's a lot of money.
Well, to you or me.
Right. But to a ball club, especially the Yankees, it's like pocket change.
That they found that in the sofa cushions at House Steinbrenner's office.
Right. Exactly.
He didn't even have to go home. It's at his office. It was just there.
It was in a desk drawer somewhere.
Yeah, just laying around. When I go in my drawer to get some change, that's what he's like, oh, I got about $100,000 in here. I'm like, I got 37 cents. So
and an expired coupon.
If I'm lucky. So the question is, though, by seeing all this, knowing how things happen, is there any deterrent? I know they made some rule changes about what can be used and what can't be used, but is there really any deterrent? I'm sure somebody's trying to figure out right now how to hack into the PitchCom system.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can get those, and you see more and more teams are using that because I see more and more guys with their hand over an ear trying to listen to make sure they got the sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially at Dodger Stadium. I noticed that when, which we'll talk about, but Detroit uses PitchCom and the same thing. It's like hand over the ear because they couldn't hear because it's so loud.
Right.
So, yeah, I think, somebody obviously is trying to hack into that system somewhere. And I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that it's a deterrent for teams to find ways around. Now, I don't think that they're going to bang trash cans. I don't think that's going to happen. They're just going to try to be more sophisticated about it. But sign stealing has always been part of the game to a certain extent, but it was always on the field. And so it was, it was just part of the game. If you were on second and you happened to see the sign, then, that was just part of it. But when it gets, technology involved and trash cans involved, buzzers, then that takes it too far.
Well, it's one thing for somebody to catch it at second base, come back in, say, look, if you see this, that's what this means, and tell everybody, and then figure out how to relay the messages. Because you broke the code, then that's the other team's fault for not having a better setup. But I would figure if you watched it, I know a lot of times they go, okay, you see the catcher put down a series of signs. Well, somewhere in that is the actual pitch. All you'd have to do is watch, unless they change up that a 1 is a changeup versus a 3 or something, and the curveball is a 4. Unless they change something like that up, the minute you see a fastball, you know, oh, 1 was the third sign, fastball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how it's evolved from catchers painting, some of the catchers, not all of them, but painting their nails to, like white or yellow, something bright, so they can see it. And now we have PitchCom to take that away from the game. But even PitchCom, I wonder, if you're standing on second, you can watch the pitch and, see, or he keeps shaking this off. So it's,
right.
There's you can kind of get like the rhythm or the pattern of maybe what they're doing.
The other day, prime example of that was Dodgers Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen kept shaking him off like 4 different times. He shook him off, and they were like, is there a problem with the pitch com, whatever? No, Zach Gallen just wanted to throw a pitch that the catcher was not putting the right pin number in on or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't have it programmed right. Yeah.
He was not giving him the pitch that he wanted to throw. You can figure that out. He knew what he wanted to throw, but so we'll continue to watch this. It's probably going to come up again. Somebody's going to find a way to get around PitchCom. It's interesting that this letter finally came out, though.
Yeah, I had to go through the courts. And because the Yankees were like, we can't have this come out because our reputation as a storied organization is on the line. It's like, well, okay, I don't think so. But they felt like it was going to hurt them with publicity and things like that. Like, the Asterisks are doing just fine. So how's it going to hurt you?
Everybody hates them, and yet, everybody already hated you guys, the Yankees.
That's right.
You're a great Yankee fan or you're not. And I think it just looks like gamesmanship between the Yankees and the Red Sox, that one's trying to get the other one. If you're going to accuse me, I'm going to accuse you. We're both going to get each other in trouble.
Yeah, it's it's that rivalry, and they're just going to go back and forth and see what they can do.
Right. All right. This next thing, we just got to rip the Band-Aid off of this and get it over with. 324 games. Is that what it came down to?
Yeah.
For Trevor Bauer?
Yep.
So there's no more administrative leave extensions. He has. Pay. Yeah. As a lot of people joked, we saw some people tweeting it became a, Trevor Bauer's been dead 50 years, but just as because it became a tradition, his administrative leave has been extended another week.
Yeah.
Exactly. in like, whatever, 2205, who knows?
Right. Yeah.
He's been, these people, it's just like when you look at it, that was like, it's going to continue on forever. Well, it finally was over, and basically a 2-year suspension, which takes him out of the Dodgerverse at that point, and without pay. Now, of course, he's appealing, and he came out, and now every time I hear or see somebody write something like this in the strongest possible term, I always go back to A Few Good Men when Demi Moore objects and the judge says, noted, but, overruled. She goes, no, we strenuously object. And then Kevin Pollak basically makes fun of her for that. We strenuously object. Is that how it works? I object. No. Overruled. Oh, no. I strenuously. Oh, well, then that makes it all different.
Okay.
In the strongest possible terms, what? You denied that you did anything wrong. You're not being criminally charged with anything. I understand that you're like, well, I'm about to lose out on whatever it comes out to be $40-50 million worth of pay. And I get it. He's trying to say he didn't do anything. Whatever happened was all consensual, which could be true. We know that there was talk of a third person coming up,
Yeah.
and that some of the same things that happened with the last one happened with her. They got together. It was a few months. It was a while, and actually a few years. Then
Yeah.
they were apart, and then she, according to him, called him up to get it restarted again. And then you say, yeah, but he was abusive too. And I guess the thing it comes back is people say, well, that's what happens. Abusers, they can't stay away. And we've seen that, people won't leave a house, or they won't they won't testify against the abuser. But it doesn't seem like he was pursuing any of them to the point that he was stalking them or forcing them to do something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that it makes it right, but I'm also saying it makes it none of my business.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this is why do we need to know about his bedroom life? It reminds me of grandma and how she'd always say, I don't need to know what goes on in their bedroom. And that's how I feel. Like, I don't need to know that. If you get on the mound and you pitch and you win the game or you help win the game, whatever, that's good. But I don't need to know what is going on in your personal life. The problem is that he has, instead of just being quiet and like, okay, I'm appealing the suspension and let the process play out, he has to, he has saved all of these text messages and continually puts out messages and different things. And I'm just like, dude, just stop already. I don't want to see this. Just let the process play out. And, whatever comes, but
he can see what everybody thinks of him.
Yeah.
And that why not, instead of doubling and tripling down on these things and, spitting into the wind, it's, say, all right, just be quiet. I think he's worried that he becomes irrelevant if he doesn't speak up, or that people are going to go, well, he's being quiet, so he must have done it. Well, he said he did things. He's never denied that. He just denied the parts where they said he was a monster, basically, and beat them and did things that they didn't want.
Right.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. The thing is, everybody's story's the same, and all of them went back of their own accord. He didn't go to San Diego to track the other girl down and have, something happening, and we only know about the last one, that she sent all kinds of messages out and told people things that made, it's like the guy who goes into jail saying, I didn't kill my family, and then goes in the jail and says, I killed my family, and tells somebody, and then that person goes, well, here's my chance to get out early. Why would you say it? You deny, if you're going to deny it, you never tell anybody what your plan is.
Mm-hmm.
Once she went and told everybody, it was going to get out.
Yeah, I think with the third person, and this is, the Washington Post did an their investigation. And I think that's how this third person came out. And I think that she was going to, and again, they were going to wanted to file a restraining order against him, but they didn't, because on what they said, her and her lawyer said, well, they were threatened by his lawyers. And, don't do this. I'm not paying you any money. I'm not going to be extorted, which he has come out and said, I'm not going to be blackmailed. The thing is, I don't know. I think right now, Trevor Bauer, nobody misses him. As a Dodger fan, I don't miss him on the mound. Would it be nice if he was out there pitching and he was doing what he was doing up till last year in June? Yeah, that would be awesome. But at this point, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't I can't see him. He'd be like the pariah, in the clubhouse and I don't know if he likes to play that role. If he likes, he has a lot of, he's a good person. Like if you were to like head shrink because to try to figure out, because he seems that he has some narcissism going because he always has a video camera. He always has himself on film. He has his blog, which, okay. And he's constantly out there putting himself out there. And I don't know, is it you have the narcissistic personality or, he's talked about growing up, how he was always, the weird kid. And even in college, I mean, he played with Garrett Cole. They played at UCLA and Garrett Cole can't stand him and has come out and said, he's like the worst guy ever. No players are going to come out and say, oh yeah, he's a good dude. He's great. He was a great teammate because they don't want to be associated with him.
Right.
So he's just like a man without a country.
I think that, I mean, he's obviously narcissistic, but I think it's self-esteem issues.
I think so too. I think it goes deeper.
And he's still trying to he wants everybody to like him. And now he doesn't want anybody to think poorly of him, that he would do this in a criminal way.
Right.
That whatever we did, they asked for it. I was not opposed to it, and it was like, okay, let's go. Let's do that now, and he's not, I mean, he's not the only person in the world that does that stuff, but it's just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one thing is the majority. This is obviously like the stringent, most stringent suspension that MLB has handed down through that, the domestic violence, child abuse policy that they have. And then people tried to compare like Marcell Ozuna, who, he and his wife the police were called. And, he went through some type of program and he was suspended, but he didn't, he just said, okay, yeah, I'll accept the suspension. And when you accept the suspension, then anything like what you've already served, I think, or what you've already done, I think sometimes it's less. So you still have the same amount of games, but it's like, okay, yeah, I guess you're admitting like, yep, I shouldn't have done this. And so that's where Bauer is now. They can't say like, okay, time served, 99 games, and we'll take that off of the 324. He's appealing. So what he's already missed is what he's missed. And that 324 is still there. Now, what happens in the appeal process, I don't know. That goes through, like arbitration, but
it's a third party.
Yeah, third party. But I bring up Marcell Ozuna only because that was a player that continually, that was brought up. But I'm not, I'm not condoning what he did.
Wants to do make those comparisons because Aroldis Chapman situation a few years back came up as well, and they're like, well, how does this work? Well, apples and oranges on all of it. Marcell Ozuna's, if you go and you do an investigation of it, yes, the cops saw him with his hands on his wife, but there was also videos and things like that they have a really contentious relationship, and she's attacked him and he's defended himself. He's fought back. It's a whole different thing between in their little, weird marriage, domestic violence marriage thing, because she's done stuff too. So when you look at it as a whole, that's a different situation. Aroldis Chapman, yes, the use of a firearm, but he did it in a garage. He didn't shoot at anybody. I mean, there's different things. This is different than no. I agree that if what he doesn't get is that it may not have been criminal what he did, but from the and I don't know how the contracts read, but it says straight out there's morals clauses And if you're going to do these things, it needs to remain behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And the problem is that he was fine. He didn't come out and tell us what was going on. Not like he was out bragging about it.
Yeah.
But, so whether he did it and it was criminal act, or whether the other side said, I see somebody I can take advantage of here and maybe get some money. Anyway,
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know how long the appeals process will take. Chances are they'll probably end up, I don't think it's going to be overturned, but, or repealed, but it'll probably be reduced.
Yeah. I
To
think
some
it
extent.
probably will be reduced also, but I don't think it will be, I don't think that the appeal will be positive for him. It's so much out there, but yeah, he needs to be on a couch somewhere.
All right, let's talk about some positive stuff, and let's talk Angels baseball. So the Dodgers and the Angels had something in common this last week. They both played teams from the same division. The Angels taking on the Guardians and the White Sox. They had the Guardians at home for 4 before they traveled to the baddest part of town, the south side of Chicago. And for as good as the Guardians had been, they had been leading the AL Central at one point. One of the top players, in fact, the player that we'll talk about later, who was recently recognized for his April, Jose Ramirez. He had an okay. I mean, they were worried about him throughout the series, but the Angels pretty much owned the Guardians.
Yeah, they swept the Guardians. First 4-game sweep by the Angels since September 2020, and they outscored Cleveland 20-7.
Right. Yeah. No, they were on it. And honestly, you can thank one guy for sure, and another guy who was just being him. You could thank Taylor Ward because he was pretty consistent throughout the series. And then, of course, Mike Trout, who
being Trout
has been exactly. And that's the thing. It's funny because you see other players step up like Taylor Ward, because Taylor Ward has never done anything. I mean, he's been there. He's had moments. Mike Trout, what he's doing, you expect from him.
Yeah, it's not, if he hits a home run, it's exciting, but it's Mike Trout.
Right. First game out, shutout, 3-0. Michael Lorenzen, one of the 2 pickups in the offseason, along with Noah Syndergaard, who these 2 guys have really, unlike the past where, we picked up Julio Teheran or Trevor Cahill or Matt Harvey, and they had a moment here, a moment there. These guys so far have been pretty consistent and really they're making the Angels look good. They're that was one of the problems. All Angels fans were like, are we going to really get some starting pitching, or are we just getting Thor?
Yeah.
And we weren't even sure about him.
Yeah, instead you got Thor and his brother Loki.
Yes. And so Lorenzen, 3-hit game in that one, gave up no runs to a 3-hit shutout, 6 innings pitched that day. So that's one thing too. He and Thor have been going deeper into games. We'll talk a little more about Michael Lorenzen and what he did in Chicago. Not a lot of strikeouts, only 3 of them. It was Taylor Ward, 2 home runs in that game, and Trout, 1 for 4 with a triple. And I think the other day you mentioned something about, I think we brought it up a couple times. The starting staff for the Angels, they haven't had too many stinkers of a game. They've been pitching well, and the issues have come with the bullpen generally, which is interesting because at the beginning of the season, we were talking about how the bullpen was strong and the starting pitching, with the exception of Shohei, was suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shohei overall's pitched pretty well. Thor, Lorenzen, have done well. Patrick Sandoval, who pitched in Game 2, has done pretty good overall. The only one who's had some issues has been Jose Suarez. We'll get to him in a second. In that second game, once again, Mike Trout, home run, a double, 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs, and then even Anthony Rendon got involved with a couple of doubles. Patrick Sandoval threw 7 innings.
And that's one thing with the Angels you really need. I mean, all teams, but especially the Angels, it's always been pitching. So if your starters can go deeper into the game, then it takes that pressure off of the bullpen to have to come in the 4th inning, or 5th inning, which we had seen in the past. Now they're going, 7th inning, even 6th inning, is good, but it's hard when you look at the starting pitcher and then there's, 5, 6 relievers after them.
Right. In the sweep, all the pitchers pretty much they all got decisions. Shohei pitched Game 3. He pitched 5 innings, struck out 4, gave up a home run in the 9-5 win. That was the most runs that the Guardians would get during the series in one game. 5. They were shut out in 1. They scored 1 in Game 2, 1 in Game 4, and then 5 in Game 3. Taylor Ward almost hit for the cycle that night. In my mind, he kind of got it, because even though he didn't get the single, he hit the home run, the triple, the double. He got a walk, so he made it to first base. So that's almost.
It's almost, yeah.
I mean, he was on base, 3 for 4, 4 RBIs. Shohei, decent night with the bat, 3 for 5 and RBI. Mike Trout again, 2 for 3, 2 doubles, and Tyler Wade, somebody else I've been talking about that I appreciate what he's been doing, 2 for 4. And then finally, once again, Reed Detmers in the last game, 5 innings pitched. So you got to make it through 5 to get the decision. And he hadn't done that, I think, up until this game. Only gave up 1 run, 4 strikeouts. So they're not striking out a lot. I think Sandoval had 9 strikeouts in his, and that was probably the most for any pitcher in the game. They looked really good during this time frame. Now it is April. We've seen this before with teams, not just the Angels, but a lot of teams, and they've had these moments before in the past. Overall with their week of games, they had a winning record. It wasn't a 500 week. They had a better week, but who knows what happens next week? It depends on who they're playing and how the pitching goes. A lot of it. If Taylor Ward and Mike Trout can keep it up, then things are good. Of course, Taylor Ward's name comes up again in that game. 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, and then Brandon Marsh and Tyler Wade both contributing to the win. In one of the games, just to talk real quick, I mentioned that we had to deal with pitchers, the Cleveland pitchers. Shane Bieber pitched 6 1/3. Tristan McKenzie, I forgot about him, but he had pretty much kept control of them to a point. And 5.2 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. One thing that was pretty amazing, Franmil Reyes strikes out 4 times in that game. And on one of them, he's so frustrated with himself, he slams his bat on the ground and it breaks. And they were just talking about, this is a strong guy. That's like Bo Jackson breaking the bat over his knee kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was just so upset with himself that he broke that bat. Jose Ramirez, 2 for 4, 2 home runs in Game 3. Zach Plesac didn't pitch that well. He was one that I thought would pitch better. Yeah. And then Cal Quantrill. In fact, 2 guys that came from San Diego when the Indians traded Mike Clevenger to San Diego.
Yeah.
Austin Hedges, Cal Quantrill. Austin Hedges in that Game 4, 2 for 3 with a home run. He actually played into a couple of the other games. And seems to me like there's a lot of catchers named Austin that are hitting pretty well this season.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Zach Plesac, you think when you hear Shane Bieber and Zach Plesac, you're like, oh, this could be tough. This could be an uphill battle for your team. But Zach Plesac only went, 3 2/3 innings. Not very
Right.
Plesac-y.
No,
Not
not at
what
all.
we expect.
Not at all. Bieber looked Bieber-ish, and it was just later than they got to him. And then once they got into the bullpen, that kind of changed things up. But actually, Bieber gave up the 3 runs, so the bullpen didn't really. But it was towards the end of gave up 2 home runs to Taylor Ward, who just been on fire lately. So they take that Thursday matinee and then head out to Chicago to take on the Chi Sox.
Town. Yeah.
What's that?
I said, isn't Chicago somebody's kind of town?
Yeah. Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Sweet home, Chicago.
Yes. I don't know. That came up in my head. My kind of town.
Right. Well, Frank Sinatra hung out there a lot. There's a street there that used to be in Chicago. It was the first paved street. I'm not sure if it was just in Illinois or like in the country. State Street in Chicago. And it was the city police didn't have any jurisdiction there, and the state police kind of did, but they didn't do anything. So that's where all of the mobsters were. That's where all the crime was on State Street. And I think there's a steakhouse there where Sinatra used to go all the time. And so they talk about State Street as he's like, there's things you see on State Street you see no place else. I think it's even in that song. But it's a cool, great hot dog place on State Street. They got hot dogs and they got the Italian beef sandwiches, and of course Chicago. That's sweet home Chicago, because it's all about the blues for me. So they head up there hoping to maintain this winning streak. At that point, it's 5 games, and heading in, they're going to have to take on Lucas Giolito. Thor scheduled to pitch, but due to an illness, which never heard. Was it the stomach flu that was going around that everybody seems to be getting in the?
And it seemed to be kind of maybe like a 24-hour kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, he wasn't on the mound, which is probably good, because we wouldn't want him on the mound. And then if it was a stomach thing, and then he just like barfs everywhere, that would be, we've seen that before.
That would be okay though, because maybe it would have caused problems for Lucas Giolito when he came out there. Giolito through 6 innings gave up 7 hits and 3 runs. The Angels continue the winning streak with a 5-1 win, and the return of David Fletcher from the IL, 2 for 4. The 2 hits were doubles. They end up doing a bullpen game. Jimmy Herget starts that off, and then cast of characters from there. Everybody in the bullpen got a shot. Shohei actually hit a home run, 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Rendon, another 2 double game. He doesn't hit a lot, but when he does, he gets some doubles. And then a familiar name pops up in this game too. Taylor Ward, once again, 3 for 5 with a home run, 2 RBIs. He's just been on fire. The one thing that I noticed in this series, every time I watched, I felt like Tim Anderson was always on base. I felt like I'd look and it seemed like, wait, didn't the inning end? And he was on base when the inning ended, and now we're in the next inning and he's already on base again. Is he is he always extra innings? Every inning in Chicago starts with Tim Anderson on base.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's La Russa, and he's like the magician, in the dugout, the mentalist, and he's like, nobody will remember. Nobody will remember. And Tim Anderson goes out there and because he's a ghost runner, so nobody will see him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really seemed like it, because it seemed like he was on all the time throughout the series. He had a pretty decent series, a home run, 3 for 5 in the last game. So the Angels, like I said, continue that win streak. And then they go into game 2. Jose Suarez on the mound. Not a great outing for Jose. 4 innings pitched, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs. faced 5 batters in the 5th inning, got nobody out.
Yeah, it was not a good day for him. Sunday was not a good day for him because the Angels optioned him. So,
Right.
yeah.
And they said they thought that they'd be okay, and now in this game, there was a rain delay, which led to an interesting moment of Vince Velasquez, the pitcher, and Mike Trout wanting to keep playing. I mean, and it was pouring down rain.
Yeah. It, it was
And they were like
down.
having it back forth, like, come on, let's go. The umpire's like, no, we're done. We gotta call. I'm not gonna stand out here in the rain. But they were like, yeah, come on, let's go.
Throw me the ball.
Yep. And it seemed like Velasquez wanted to do that, but it didn't happen, and they went into the dugout and they got blanked that night in the rain delay. And like you said, Jose Suarez ends up getting sent down. And in that game, Taylor Ward, once again, 1 for 4, but he struck out twice. Brandon Marsh, 3 strikeouts. So not a great night for Captain Caveman. And Tyler Wade, 2 for 3. So notice some names I didn't mention in that. No Shohei, no Trout, no Rendon, especially no Trout. The next game was the Sunday game, and Michael Lorenzen. I told you we'd get back to him. Quite the game. Through the first 8 innings, actually through the first 8.1, he was on his way to a complete game shutout. And it's funny how when we talk about things being scripted, how things work sometimes. Because here we are, he finishes the 8th inning. He's got 8 solid. He's never pitched a complete game in his career. And he's the one thing that can't happen is a long inning by the Angels. The problem is that's exactly what happens. And Mark Kubica and I think Vasgersian was on the call on Sunday. They said, Matt asked Gooby, what is it that's going to make Joe Madden change his mind and get relievers up or take him out, not let him complete the game? And he said, well, like a long inning. Well, the inning was about 30 minutes long. They did score 2 more runs because it was 4-0 when they started. So that was good, little insurance. And then when Lorenzen goes back out, gets the first out, and then base hit.
Floodgates open.
They open it up, and he ends up being on the hook for 3 runs. So no big deal, though. Raisel Iglesias is coming in.
Usually that's no big deal.
Right. That's to steal from what the Dodgers used to have for Eric Gagne when he would come in to close. Game over. Well, it happens sometimes. Raisel didn't have a good outing. A couple walks, and he hit. Trying to remember, I think he hit Abreu, and it just wasn't his day. He got 1 out, but it just wasn't his day. 2 more runs come to score. So here we are at 6-5. Right now, you're like, excellent that they scored those 2 runs, because otherwise,
the
insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan Tepera, another off-season acquisition, is able to come in and get the last out and save the win. So the Angels won't lose this. They can still win the series. Now, one thing in this particular game was kind of interesting was that I was looking through Baseball Reference, and they send out an email every day, and I was reading, it said, top matchups. And one of the top matchups of the day was Mike Trout versus Dallas Keuchel, who started for the Sox. Now, historically, Trout has 55 plate appearances, is hitting .354 with 2 home runs versus Dallas Keuchel. In this game, Trout goes 2 for 2, a home run, a double, 1 RBI, scores 3 runs, walks 3 times, one of those times intentional. Dallas Keuchel couldn't get him out. So those numbers versus Dallas Keuchel only went up. And that home run was in his first at bat against Dallas. It's
nice
amazing.
to see you, Dallas.
Yep. It's just, and then of
I
course,
think, some hitters just have pitchers' numbers, and he owns. As they say, he owns him.
oh yeah, he could. And the one thing that they were talking about is that and one of the nice things about having Mark Kubica, he was a decent pitcher, and he knows what pitchers are normally taught across the board, not just one team to the next. But he was saying that a lot of pitchers are taught to live in the bottom third of the strike zone because that's where you'll generally get people out. Any higher, you're going to get right in the zone. Well, the bottom third of the strike zone is where Mike Trout has made his money. And that's what happened. They kept throwing low to him, even though you would think the scouting report is bottom third of the strike zone, Mike Trout lives there. You don't pitch up to David Fletcher. You don't pitch low.
Right. Did the White Sox use PitchCom?
Yes.
So it's pre-programmed. They're like Mike Trout, and they put it on there.
Yeah, they should just autopilot Mike Trout. You don't throw him anywhere in the bottom third of the zone.
But PitchCom didn't work that day.
No, it certainly didn't. Also in that game, and we're not sure how this has played out yet, but Shohei had to leave in late in the game, running out a ground ball. You could see him a few steps out of the box. You could see him kind of, I don't know, hop a little bit. You kind of see something happen. And I guess he's got a groin issue. Haven't heard any, greater details than that. And he didn't finish up the series we'll see if he's supposed to pitch in Boston. We'll know whether he did that or not.
Yeah. Or if he misses a start, then they could always put Syndergaard in there since he missed his start in Chicago. So that's a possibility. But yeah, we don't know. I think he's kind of a day-to-day.
Yeah, absolutely. So they take that one, finish up on this was one of those weird series. Instead of being a 3-gamer, just a Friday through Sunday, it was a 4-game set, a Friday through Monday. And on Monday, it was an early morning game. If you weren't thinking for the West Coast, if you weren't thinking about it, you probably missed it. And it's okay if you missed it because the Angels got blanked 3-0. Trout struck out 4 times.
It was too early. It was just we don't play baseball in the morning. That's what not California.
Patrick Sandoval, 6 innings pitched, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits. It was Dylan Cease, the starter for the White Sox, who had complete control, 11 strikeouts over 7 innings, gave up just 1 hit.
Yeah, Liam Hendricks had the save in there.
And overall, I think that they only had like 2 or 3 hits. Actually, only 2 hits.
Yeah.
And one of them belonged to
Taylor Ward.
I was going to say Kurt Suzuki, but yeah, he got the other one, Taylor Ward. Yeah. Kurt Suzuki and Taylor Ward were the only ones to get any hits, and Taylor's was a double. So overall, not a bad road trip. They're still on the road, but not a bad series, not a bad week. Sweeping the Guardians, splitting with the White Sox, and the White Sox, it's kind of surprising that they're not running away with things. When you look at that team, like I said, Tim Anderson's always on, but Luis Robert, Jose Abreu, their pitching staff is pretty decent. The Angels, they just got the Angels when they were hot, but they ended up splitting. The White Sox are going to put it all together. They're going to run away with it probably, but because the rest of the league doesn't look that division doesn't look that strong.
Well, and that's a division that's always been
there's
not kind of mediocre in a way.
So the Angels left Chicago and headed to Boston to take on the Red Sox at Fenway. And then they'll be heading home for Anthony Rendon T-shirt night, and as they take on the Nationals. And then looks like the Rays and their first meeting with the A's of the season will be on the horizon. And with that, let's take a look at who our player of the week is. I know when you listen to it, it probably seems pretty obvious. Kurt Suzuki. But who's your player of the week?
I didn't even have to. Usually, I keep a book of all of the, pitching. It's like my own little scoreboard, my own little score card. I didn't have to look at it. It's Taylor Ward.
Right. Now, you did mention at one point during the week, I think after we talked after the almost cycle game, that you're like, well, but Mike Trout's looking pretty good too.
Yeah.
But and why it's true, and I actually, that made me think about it. I was like, well, he did great, and a lot of times it's like, yeah, but that's what you expect from him. It was like, well, he should still get some, so I looked at him too, but there's a lot of games where he didn't do something, but Taylor Ward every game.
Right. He was consistent. Yeah. So
including that last one where Trout struck out 4 times. Taylor got a double.
One of the hits. Yeah. So, that's my player of the week.
Yep. So right now, just to give you how you couldn't have gone to anybody else really. He leads MLB, not just his team right now, but he leads MLB in batting average. His slash line leads MLB basically. Batting average, on base percentage, his slugging, and his OPS all top every player in Major League Baseball.
And it is crazy to think to me that he didn't get his first at bat of the season until April 16th.
Right, because he was on the IL. He
was injured. Yeah.
This right here, the way Taylor Ward is playing, and just to give you a quick rundown of this week, it was 8 games, 424 batting average. That's 14 of 33. 3 doubles, 1 triple, 4 home runs, and 11 RBIs. Without Taylor Ward in those 8 games, they don't have the same. They don't have the same week.
No.
Mike Trout might pull him out on a couple of those games, but it's Taylor Ward who really pushed him over the top. So that's our player of the week for the Angels, and one I'm hoping that he continues this, because honestly, right now, everybody is saying, Justin who? Nobody's thinking about, like everybody talked about Albert last year throughout the year, Justin Upton, who's still unemployed, unfortunately. I like Justin, but Taylor Ward getting that time, which there probably would have been more of a platoon situation if Justin Upton is still around.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
The Dodgers left San Diego and headed to the Valley of the Sun to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not the worst team in baseball. No, that would be the Cincinnati Reds. But not they're at the bottom of the pile. Although you wouldn't necessarily think that based on how they were playing overall, except for game 1. Game 1 saw something that hadn't happened yet this year in baseball. And it was all thanks to Vanderbilt alum Walker Buehler. His first ever complete game shutout.
Yeah, that's the difference. His first ever complete game shutout. It was his 3rd career complete game and his first since August 3rd of 2019. But he had it. He was dealing, and he told Dave Roberts, I'm not coming out. And I don't think you argue with butane, and he didn't. So he went back in. He was cruising. 15 batters, retiring 15 straight batters from the 4th inning to the 9th. He didn't walk anybody. He did hit one batter, but he struck out 10 and got a standing ovation from the fans at Chase Field. And it was a sizable Dodger contingent there, as always, but even the Diamondback fans appreciated a complete game. And Walker Buehler said, he goes, growing up, that's what pitchers did.
Right.
When I grew up watching baseball, the pitchers I watched, they had complete games, and it's important to him to be able to do that. Those are all Walker Buehler. On that first game, Dodgers had a 2-0 advantage pretty early. Leadoff hitter Mookie Betts walked, and then Freddie Freeman doubled, and then Trey Turner brought them both home with another double. Max Muncy had a double in the 5th, which made it, which scored Mookie Betts, made it 3-0. And then just to top it off, Will Smith, 420-foot shot into left center, made it 4-0. So a really good game, and what you expect from the Dodgers against the Diamondbacks, or really any team, but especially the Diamondbacks. You're like, okay, this is good. And then it wasn't so good.
No. By the way, most complete games ever, Cy Young. 749 complete games over his career. And when you go through the list, it takes a while before you start seeing names that you recognize from, Fergie Jenkins, 267 complete games. There's a lot of players that, but yeah, when I was a kid too, a complete game was not an unusual thing. There was guys.
Yeah, it was a normal. That was normal. It's like you expected the pitcher to have a complete game.
And there were times, there were a couple pitchers, I wish I could find them, but that were, they started 43 games in a season and completed 43 games.
Right. Yeah. It was just baseball.
The people there in Arizona knew that they were seeing something that doesn't happen very often. It's almost as rare as a perfect game or even a no-hitter, a complete game.
Right. Well, and I think too, I mean, we talked about Kershaw and his perfect game, was through 7, and then him coming out. And I think that in the back of, with Walker Buehler, it was like, no, I'm here. I'm going to go out there. And he, you see pitchers in the dugout. He came out. It's like, I'm not coming out. And pitchers usually in the dugout when they're pitching, they kind of sit by themselves. Nobody really talks to them. Depends on the pitcher, but most of the time nobody talks to them. And I think with Dave Roberts at that point, I mean, he was going back out for the 9th inning. It was like, yeah, we're going to let you go out. And I'm not, like I said, I wouldn't argue with
well, it wasn't
Buehler.
like he was way over.
No.
We mentioned that Michael Lorenzen almost had a complete game in Chicago, and things kind of fell apart. They took him out at 100 pitches. He had been pretty economical with his pitches. Maybe 10 or 11 per inning was the average based on how the pitch count went. Same thing. Walker Buehler didn't have a lot of pitches. So it wasn't as if he was like pushing, 120.
No, he had 108 for the entire game.
Right. And that was finishing it. So I think when he went in, he actually was under 100 pitches when he went into that inning.
Yeah.
So you got to give him, a shot with that. And it's the Diamondbacks, so why not? It's not, and if something happens and you got to take him out, you take him out. I'm sure at that point he would have been fine coming out, but you also got to trust that, especially a younger guy.
Yeah.
I get, like, we went back and forth about the taking Kershaw out for that perfect game, but Kershaw's got a lot more years and pitches on his arm, and's coming off of surgery and the shoulder issues and all that. Plus he's got the chronic back issues. So being careful with him is one thing. Walker Buehler's still young, and we thought he was going to be the Cy Young guy last year, and it kind of fell apart. He showed that in this game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He really could be that. It was a good game. I thought it was interesting was that when you look at the Diamondbacks, they really don't have anybody that's doing anything. Seth Beer is the one guy who's batting over 300, and the next guy is somebody who faced Walker Buehler in a College World Series, Pavin Smith, batting .261. Everybody else on that team is batting below that. Even Marte, who is probably the best player on the team, is batting down in the hundreds.
Yeah.
So that makes it even worse than when we hear about what happens after game 1.
Yeah. The Dodgers lost game 2, 5-3. And there were just no hits. I mean, Mookie struck out. He didn't strike it at all, but he didn't get any hits. So he was 0 for 4. Freddie Freeman had a hit, and it was Will Smith that really, he had all the RBIs because he had a double, and Trey Turner also had a double, but that was it. It was just lackluster, and Gavin Lux didn't help matters with the throwing error that allowed the Diamondbacks to score. They actually, I don't know, it's just frustrating because in the 8th inning, the bases were loaded, and you have Will Smith, who you're like, hey, you're the guy, and he grounds into a double play, and that's it. That's the end. And then my favorite is David Peralta, who, what he says, he's not my favorite, but his quote, he hit a 2-run home run to break a tie in the 8th inning. And he
Courtesy
also,
of Bruce Starr.
yeah. And he also started one of Arizona's 5 double plays in that game, which just kind of tells you how the Dodgers were doing on the base pads and at home. But he says, David Peralta says, that's who we are. It's just who we are as Diamondbacks. We hit home runs and we'd get double plays. Well, I guess that's who they were against the Dodgers because they did it. It wasn't fun. It's not a fun game, especially when they lose to the Diamondbacks.
When you lose to a team that you absolutely should beat. It makes a loss to like Cincinnati. That one makes it look even worse when you lose to teams that you should absolutely beat, especially when you just don't, when nobody does anything. It's not as if, there's been a lot of talk about the Dodgers. When you look at their lineup, if somebody's not hitting, it's okay because they'll be able to work through it. But Freddie Freeman already said what everybody needs to know. Hitting is contagious. When everybody else is hitting, these other guys, well, if nobody's hitting, those guys going through slumps aren't going to work their way out of it. Or there's not as much chance anyway.
Right. And when your leadoff hitter is, like I said, he didn't strike out, but he didn't get any hits. He was 0 for 4.
And yet somehow,
that's your leadoff hitter.
Somehow he still leads the major leagues in runs scored with 21. How, as of the weekend, 21. How does that work?
He does, garner walks, but
he's just, something's up with Mookie, and it'd be nice if you kind of get the bottom of that. Is it home life? Is he got too many honeydews going on that he's he's worried about the chores at home that he's got to get done? I got to sand down that table, got to fix that faucet.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something up. I mean, he has flashes, and we've seen it. And I know it's only April, but it's Mookie Betts.
No, it's May now.
Oh, that's
April's
true.
over. Now it's getting late.
Now we're really concerned.
Well, I mean, Gonsolin didn't look great in that game either after a really good start the previous outing. And then the other thing that they had to deal with is they had to deal with Psycho Killer coming in to close out the game. Mark Melancon was there. I'd forgotten that he had gone to Arizona, but he was there, and they had to deal with that. Next game looked a little better from the pitching standpoint. Julio actually had a pretty good game. 6 innings, only gave up a hit. Unfortunately, that hit was a home run to Nick Ahmed, and then Daniel Hudson came in and gave up the other 2 runs. Trey somebody whose name pops up almost every game. And what's interesting with Trey is he may not get a hit, but he'll get a walk or a sacrifice. And his RBI, I think he leads the Dodgers in RBIs. So Trey, 2 for 4 with an RBI and a double. Mookie scored a run, was 2 for 4. Not that that helps with the other games, because every game is its own thing. But what you hope is
right?
that's the beginning of something.
Something. Yeah. Well, and Julio Urias he looked good, but the problem was so did Zach Gallen, and he pitched
He just
6
better.
scoreless innings. Yeah, I mean he was he was dealing also, and also Max Muncy, third base. I think I texted you, Max Muncy can never play third base again. Because
and there were a few people who tweeted that as well, as like he should be banned from playing third base. Everybody was on the same page.
Yeah.
And what happened? They trotted him right back out to third base a couple days later. So that was a tough one. Yeah, Zach Gallen really had control of that game. You know what kind of sucked for him in that game though? Ian Kennedy came in, blew this what would have been a save opportunity, blew it by giving up a run, and then ends up getting the win.
Yeah, it gets the win and then helps out Psycho Killer.
Right.
Who gets
Psycho
the
Killer
save.
gets the save. But Zach Gallen's the reason why.
Yeah.
He should have I felt bad for Zach because I'm like, that should have been his win. That's why that whole conversation about wins and losses, it's easy to get a loss. You don't even have to pitch the whole game. You don't have to go the 5 innings to take the loss. You can lose it in the first inning.
Yeah.
But you got to pitch 5 innings to get a win.
To get a win.
And then if a reliever comes in and blows the save or blows the hold, then
that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it just was not a good series. The Dodgers did not look good offensively the last, the 2 games. They just, because you expect them to go into Arizona and just, beat the Diamondbacks, and they didn't. I mean, Arizona took the series for the first time since September 2019, and Arizona had 9 hits the entire series over 3 games, and they still won the series. I think the Dodgers had 23 hits versus the 9, and the Diamondbacks, just beat them.
Yeah, because
that's who they are.
Needed to, because double plays and home runs. That's who they are. Just ask David Peralta. So the Dodgers luckily get a day off between Arizona and coming home, and they welcome in another AL Central. We said that the Dodgers and the Angels had something in common. They actually had a couple things in common based on how the Dodgers week went. Was very Angel-like, and then the Angels played 2 teams from the AL Central, and the Dodgers got their interleague game versus Detroit.
Yeah, the first time that Detroit has played at Dodger Stadium in 8 years, going back to 2014.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it had been that long. So
yeah,
so they show up for Friday night weekend series. Miguel Cabrera, the newest member of the 3,000 hit club, along for the ride. And it was the battle of the Tylers to start things off. Detroit threw out Tyler Alexander, and the Dodgers had Tyler Anderson on the mound. It was a better night for Tyler A. Anderson. Tyler Alexander.
Yeah, what did we say? If they were in the same class, it'd be Tyler Alex and Tyler Andy. So Tyler Andy had the better deal.
Had the better deal. 5 innings, only gave up a run, struck out 3, whereas Tyler Alexander, 2 1/3, gave up 3 hits and 4 runs in the Dodgers 5-1 victory. What was the biggest highlight?
The biggest highlight, Justin Turner hit a home run. His first home run of the season. Is that the highlight? Chris Taylor also hit his first home run.
Justin Turner's home run comes in April, which until last year he had never hit any home runs in April. I just figured he was going back to regular old and he'd start hitting in May.
Right.
We'll see, but he's been having some issues. Like a lot of them, he's not been hitting either. And so when you see that, 2 RBIs for him, we were talking about Trey Turner, sacrifice fly, got him an RBI. So constantly contributing.
Yeah, and the thing about Trey Turner, I know that the fans are excited about Freddie Freeman and they chant, there's Freddie, but like in the game, the last game in Arizona, if it hadn't have been for Trey Turner getting the double, it would have just been a shutout for the Diamondbacks. If it hadn't been for Trey Turner, like that's how I think. If it hadn't been for Trey Turner, we wouldn't have that extra run, or we wouldn't have this. And so I feel like the Dodgers. I like Freddie Freeman. I like what he's bringing to the Dodgers, but I think we need some Trey chants in Dodger Stadium.
Too. I think that I thought about that too. Seeing him, I'm like, geez, how are you not already throwing the Brinks truck at this guy?
Yeah.
He's just, I get it. Freddie Freeman, and he's younger. He's just got more upside, I think, than even Freddie Freeman does.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. He's just kind of the guy that, I don't know, you just expect him to get things done, but he does it in a way he's not flashy. He just does it, and
right.
So we need some Trey chants.
Yep, definitely. He's the guy though, because he does it so consistently that he's kind of becomes a Mike Trout in the sense of, yeah, we expect that from him.
Yeah.
And it becomes a bigger deal when he doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
maybe it's easier to say Freddie instead of Trey. Yeah. Trey, because he needs another, I don't know, Trey T. Some kind of chant. We got to come up with one for.
Yeah, you can't
Turner.
just say Turner, or you could do that, and then both Justin and Trey think that it's for them.
Yeah, I guess he could be. I saw somewhere. I don't know, because we'll talk about a nickname coming up in the second game, but he is Trey Turner, so it could be T2 or T squared, T squared. So, that could be.
Or you could just do Trey, because then it's more Trey.
Okay.
Or something like that. Trey. Yeah. Trey. You could start it like slow. Trey.
Right.
Trey.
And go
Trey.
up. Yeah.
Trey, like a train. Trey. Something like that.
Yes.
All right. Second game, opposite results. Exactly opposite results.
Exactly. Tigers win the game 5-1. Not the result we wanted, because this was a historic night for Clayton Kershaw, who becomes the all-time strikeout record holder for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And you wonder, if you asked him, would you rather have the record or the win?
With the win.
Yeah. You know what? I think that something backfired here, because Saturday night was Kirk Gibson bobblehead night.
Yeah, Legends of
Dodgers
Legends.
baseball.
Yep.
And the Tigers basically said, I don't think so. He's ours.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't work out the way I think they were hoping, but it was a great, and I mean, Kershaw Day, like I said, becomes the all-time strikeout record holder in Dodgers franchise, surpassing Don Sutton, who was at the top and now in second. And the great thing about Kershaw is he's like, okay, yeah, I did it. Everybody's on their feet. The scoreboard, all of the, is everything with his pitcher. And he's like, okay, come on, we got to get going. I got to pitch. And the umpire wouldn't get behind home plate. Austin Barnes was not, he wasn't getting in position because they were like, you deserve this moment.
I heard that the home plate umpire didn't know.
Right, he didn't know
that he was on the verge of setting this record, or setting a new Dodger record for strikeouts.
Right.
So when it happened, he was kind of like, "Oh,
yeah."
Kind of surprised.
Yeah, so it is cool that they allowed him. You saw, his teammates clapping for him. He did, give his tip of his hat to the crowd and went on, because that is Kershaw's way. He's not.
That's who he is.
Okay, that's it.
Well, the one run that the Dodgers were managed to score came from the one guy that you wouldn't expect it to come from,
Mookie Betts.
Right. And I heard on the radio, I think it was on the radio, maybe I saw a tweet that said, right now we need Kershaw's bat.
Yeah, we really do. He always came up and had clutch hits. That's the thing with Kershaw. Yeah. And wasn't Jacob Barnes an Angel at one point?
Yes.
And he got the win in this game. I knew you'd be excited about a former Angel.
Now, anybody named Barnes, I'm good with.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the extent of it. The most exciting part was Clayton Kershaw and getting those
that
strikeouts.
Was probably the most noteworthy spot. I don't know if it was the most exciting. And before I get to that, just Austin Meadows, another Austin popping up, doing well, and Javi Baez basically drove things for the Tigers, 2 RBIs each that put the Dodgers away. But the one thing that I think is something to be excited about was the fact that the Dodgers got to a point that they just went into the stands and got somebody. They gave him a jersey and had him come out and pitch. Okay, not really, but it seemed like it. Reyes Maranta, who up until recently, well, he was at Oklahoma City, but before that, he was in the Mexican leagues, playing down in Mexico. And they brought him in, and he kind of finished out the game. But when you see him, he looked like a guy who could have been sitting out in the bleachers in the outfield, put his Michelada down. He's wearing his own personalized Dodger jersey. And they said, hey, you want to pitch? They gave him some pants, and he went out and a glove, and he went out and he threw a few innings. And
yeah, he pitched. He pitched an inning. He gave up 2
He
hits. had 3 strikeouts.
Well, he had pitched before, but the night before, actually, he's like, I think I told you. Well, he came to get the bobblehead,
right?
And he pitch again.
I was like, all right, yeah. He's very he reminds me of, as far as like his body type and how he looks on the mound, is like Bartolo Colon. It is similar. Yeah, but that's what I thought. He just, someone, he's out in the bleachers, he's out in, out in the outfield, enjoying a game, send security. Hey, do you see that guy in this row? You get him.
Yeah, tell him we need him to throw an inning. So we'll
Yep.
see how that works out for him. Maybe they'll keep him around. Maybe he'll throw a few more.
Yeah.
So it brings us to Game 3 of the series, the finale on the Sunday afternoon. And once again, you can thank Trey for an RBI. He did well there. Cody had a double and an RBI contributing. It also was the return of Tommy Conley.
Yeah, and he looked really good. I mean, this is the first time that he's pitched in a major league game since July 26th, 2020. He was with the Yankees at that time. He had Tommy John surgery in 2020. Dodgers signed him knowing that he wasn't going to pitch, last season. But yeah, he came in and looked really good.
2 strikeouts in his inning pitched. Dodgers walk away with a 6-3 win. No thanks to our good buddy Skip, who felt sorry, I guess, for the Tigers. And really, to me, when you go to a game like this, you got probably the thing you'll remember more than that the Dodgers won. Miggy hit a home run. Miguel Cabrera added to his total. He's at 503 for his career, 3,004 hits, and 2 RBIs and a 1-for-4 night. But you got to see, it's like, I remember going to the 2002 Game 2 World Series, and one of the things that I remember most of that game is Barry Bonds' home run, because I was at the right angle for watching that home run and watching it leave, and just, regardless of all the things being said about him, it was pretty amazing to see that home run.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I mean, this, there was a real knucklehead that threw a Miguel Cabrera home run ball back onto the field. I mean, he's a dumbass. That's just exactly what he is.
I saw some tweets
sorry.
where people are like, if I catch a Miguel Cabrera home run, I'm not throwing it back.
No.
The heck with all you guys.
Did they not know? Was it just
No, you know what? If Jonathan Scope hits a home run, you throw Jonathan Scope's home run. Javi Baez, throw it back. But you don't throw back Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
That's just,
come on. It's really? Now, we didn't mention this, but in the Saturday game, was it Brusdar Graterol, who idolizes Miguel Cabrera? They're both from Venezuela. I mean, he grew up watching him play. It was his first jersey he ever owned was Miguel Cabrera. They were on the field. He met him. They were FaceTiming with Brusdar Graterol's family,
wow.
And he, waving and so excited. So he gave up a hit. I think it was a single when he faced him, and he said, I was nervous. This is my hero. And so you gotta, it didn't help the Dodgers.
Throwing his hand up, give me that ball.
Yeah.
This is the ball that he gave up a hit, Mickey. Well, it's anytime you go, it's like every time I went to an Angels game and got to see Albert Pujols play, it's not just about that. He could make more history. Another home run towards, the march to whatever, a hit towards 3,000 or over that, those are the things when you see those players, you want to catch some of them. I was lucky enough to be in left field bleachers at Qualcomm Stadium, Jack Murphy Stadium, San Diego, where the Padres used to play, during the home run chase versus the Cubs when Sammy Sosa came up. He hit a home run, but he hit it to right field, which was not unlike him. But we didn't even think about it when we got the tickets. And there we were, and we could have potentially had a Sammy Sosa home run. But you went for those kind of moments.
Right.
You don't have to, when you see somebody that's of those statures, or when somebody's on a thing. Aaron Judge right now is on fire. You go to see the Yankees play your team because you want to see if Aaron Judge can keep that up. A hit
Right.
streak. You want to see if they can keep that hit streak up. The people in Arizona realized that they saw a complete game, which is something that, older people are like, I saw those all the time. The new kids don't know what that's about. And to see
Yeah.
that's an accomplishment. So you go for those moments. And if your team loses, but something incredible happens, you just go, cool. You enjoy the whole world of baseball for that
Right.
moment.
Exactly. I mean, he hit, we know he got his 3,000th career hit. He tied George Brett for 18th in Major League history with 1,119 extra base hits after that home run. But yeah, it's like, why are you throwing that back on the field? Like, give it to me. Chris Taylor's probably like putting it in his pocket,
Oh yeah. That's mine. Where where did this start? We used to never do that. Only
Yeah.
Chicago. Only the Cubs fans did that.
Only the Cubs.
And that was your thing. And now we're appropriating Chicago, north side of Chicago culture. Is that what's happening? Is that what we've gone to?
We don't. Yeah. No, that should stay in
Or
Wrigley.
LA. We can do our own thing. We
That's
set
right.
the trends. We don't follow them.
Yeah, so in this game, even though Skip gave up that home run to Miggy, the Dodgers did go on to win the game 6-3. Walker Buehler back on the mound. He first inning did not look great. 23 pitches to get through the inning, but he pitched out of it and
didn't give up any runs.
Nope, 5 scoreless innings, and yeah, he looked
5 Ks.
Looked good. Yep. 5 Ks there. And the Dodgers pull out the series win against Detroit.
They go 3 for 3 on their week. How angels of them.
Yes.
It's better than going, whatever, 0 for whatever for like the Reds. That's that's pretty yikes.
It's bad.
We'll bring up where the Reds are when we get to around baseball. The Dodgers and their very first matchup of the year with their biggest rival, and what looks like is going to be a continuing back and forth this year as it was last year, the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants come in for 2 games.
A teaser series.
That's it.
2 games.
2 games, and then the Dodgers head to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field.
Yep, they get to take on the Cubs, and that way when they hit home runs, the Cubs fans will show them how it's done.
Exactly.
And hopefully they hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Max Muncy, I didn't mention him other than the throwing error that was just bad. But at the plate, again, he just is lost. He's arguing with the umpire. And when you look back at the strikes, I mean, that he was called, a couple, okay, I could give, maybe it was a little off the plate. But it's like, no, you're swinging at stuff you shouldn't be swinging at. Because he has always been pretty disciplined in getting those walks, which he still, I think, to a certain extent is, but I think he really wants to get a hit. He wants to get, those home runs that he is known for, but not happening, not right now. And he did get a day off, which he really needed.
Yeah, I think he needs another one.
Yeah, maybe a week.
And then once they bail out of the north side, they'll be heading to Pittsburgh. One of the coolest places I think to go play. I would love to go see a game there. And then there's a Renaissance Hotel. I think it's still a Renaissance by Marriott, right across the river. You walk out of the hotel, cross Clemente Bridge, the big yellow bridge.
Yeah.
Right into PNC Park, and or to get into PNC Park. I would love to go and do that. Anybody want to sponsor an SRBB trip for us to go to Pittsburgh and take in a game? We would love that. So, so they'll get the Pirates there this week. Player of the week. What do you think?
Walker Buehler. He had his first complete game shutout for him. First complete game of the season for all of MLB. He had pitched 14 innings, 15 strikeouts. Just looked really good, and I think he deserved it.
I agree. I went with them as well. Opposing batters only hit 180 versus him over the 53 batters that he faced in those 14 innings that he did, only giving up 9 hits. So, yep, we're on the same page there for sure. Walker Buehler is our Dodgers Player of the Week. Big happenings as we look around baseball. We'll take a look at somebody throwing faster than I can drive. And big news out of the main experimental league, the Atlantic League, makes history. But first, let's take a look at the NCAA Division I rankings.
Tennessee dropped out. No, they remain number 1.
They're for their 6th week in a row.
Yes.
They ended number 1. And I didn't think about it, but I realize now why. And it's Ben Joyce.
Yeah, he threw 53 pitches. He threw 105.5 mile per hour fastball on his first pitch of in the 7th inning. And this is crazy. He threw 28 of 33 fastballs faster than 103 miles per hour. 15 at least 104 miles per hour. I mean, like, his arms should have flung off. I mean, it just it's crazy.
Yes, he completely froze. I would think is the only way to say it. The Auburn hitters, and
yeah,
the Vols.
I mean,
become
when
the
you
first
talk
team to
about
40
high
wins.
heat,
Oh yeah, this is beyond
high
that.
It's white hot.
Yeah, this is what's it, like phosphorus or one of those things that you can't look at when it's burning, and you can't. It just gets that bad. Overall, doesn't look like too much has changed in
not a
the
lot.
little shuffling around, and a couple of teams look like they jumped from the teens into the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned, of course, Tennessee. They're 40-4 overall. They're 19-2 in the SEC. The Pac-12, Oregon State, they've been at number 2. Oklahoma State is they actually jumped. I think they're they're 3 now. Arkansas moved to 4th. Virginia Tech, who's been on the rise, they jumped up from 7 to 5. Miami fell to number 6, but they're still leading the ACC. And Southern Miss fell 3 spots to number 7, but they're still in command of their division, Conference USA. UCLA up 5 spots to number 8. Texas A&M up 8 places to number 13. And the Terrapins of the University of Maryland up 5 to number 18. Georgia Tech is back in the rankings. They were out. Now they're back. They're at 21. Florida State also. Seminoles were out. They're back in at number 23. TCU fell 4 spots to number 24 after an 0-3 week. And UC Santa Barbara. Yes, the Gauchos made their season debut at number 25. Now, they are dominating their conference, the Big West, at 19-2 record.
Now, the couple things. Number one, Wolford, who joined last week, already out. But the bigger thing is the preseason #1.
Out. They're out. They're no longer in the top 25. Horns down.
Apparently. No more Texas in the top 25. That could change. Texas could pick it up. But as we get, deeper into the season, get closer to time for playoffs and that, and we're in May, time is of the essence.
Well, it's interesting. They were on the cover of Baseball America. They were,
Yes.
like you said, the preseason favorites. Did that. What happened? You know how sometimes they're like, oh, well, you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated and then everything goes downhill. Is it the same thing?
It could be, yeah, that jinx, that that curse. I don't know. We'd have to go back and see who was on the cover before and see what happened to them to see if there really is.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to do that.
There you go. Things are, some of it seems to be settling, but we're going to probably see quite a few changes between now and the World Series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now let's take a look at some of the minor leagues. Before we get to the big news out of the Atlantic League, take a look at some of the league leaders. Salt Lake City Bees, the Angels AAA club, right now sits at 12-12, and a couple of guys who, actually 3 players that were all potentials to make the big club. Michael Stefanik, whose name had a great spring, doing well, hitting .340, over 50 at bats in 14 games. Luis Rengifo, who we know's been up, played a few different times up with the Angels. 90 at bats, batting .322, 11 RBIs, and 3 home runs. Matt Thaiss, who they played at third, played at first. They've put him back to what his original position was, which is catching. Not having a great 15 games. He's hit 2 home runs. He's only hitting 200 overall. And then pitcher Jonathan Diaz, who's probably the next pitcher to be called up should there be, when we get to, well, now that Jose Suarez is down there, they'll probably call him up after they give him a little chance to maybe work out what's going on with him. Jonathan Diaz will probably see the big club at some point. He's 1.96 ERA with 18 Ks over 23 innings and was the PCL pitcher of the week, which takes us to 15-9 Oklahoma City. Zach McKinstry pretty much leading the Dodgers of Oklahoma City, .361 batting average. Kevin Pillar was one that I was looking for to see where he's at. He's here now. It's getting close that he can opt out sometime soon.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I'm wondering, will he or won't he?
Batting .288
question.
over 21 games, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs. He's got 3 doubles and 3 triples on the season. Jake Lamb, .256, 5 home runs. Andy Pages, .247 with 3 home runs. And then out of the off the mound, it's Pepiot. I can't remember his first name now. I forgot to write it down. Ryan Pepiot. 1.66 ERA, 29 Ks over 21.2 innings pitched. So we'll probably see him at some point making his major league debut. We went to low A. Inland Empire 66ers, the Angels low A team, 9-12 right now, whereas the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are 13-6. A couple players' names to remember for the Angels or for the 66ers: Miles Emerson, a catcher, batting .333, 6 RBIs and a home run. For the Quakes, right now the big stick is Damon Keith, who is a left fielder. .388 with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. The big name that comes out of Dodger prospect land is Diego Cartaya, and he's a catcher, and I think he's got a little bit of a wait until Austin's done.
Yep.
Probably, and I don't know who's up, who's the next in line really, but he's one that they talk about not having a great start so far. He's only batting .224. He does have 4 home runs and 13 RBIs. But I guess for a catcher, not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
But I always felt like catchers should hit better than they do.
Me too. You would think that they kind of know, the mechanics of the pitcher. They would have that eye.
What would I
and
call? Maybe
for
that's
some
it. They're two in
reason-
their head. What pitch would I call right now?
Right.
And
Instead of
they're
focusing
getting
on the pitch
something
coming at
different.
them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's just a short look at the minors, except for the Atlantic League, which is independent. And we talk about it because there's an agreement, and most of all these new rules started in the Atlantic League. The Atlantic League, if you remember, we talked about last season, pushing the mound back a foot. It makes history by adding to their roster the very first woman to ever play pro baseball, be in a starting lineup on a pro baseball team, Kelsey Whitmore. She's a two-way player. She was in the starting lineup in left field, batted ninth for the Staten Island Ferry Hawks of the Atlantic League. They were playing Gastonia, North Carolina Honey Hunters, and they were in Gastonia. She went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and was hit by a pitch. And then she was replaced with a pinch hitter in the 8th of a 10-5 loss. And she put outs in left field. So that's a first. And like I said, she's a two-way player, so she could actually take the mound at some point for the Ferry Hawks.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on Kelsey. It's interesting to see how she does. I think it's pretty cool that the Staten Island Ferry Hawks are signed her to a deal. So.
And the Atlantic League is all good for that.
Yeah.
So, and that's good because she's out there playing. We've seen a couple of we know the general manager down in Miami. We've got a first base coach in San Francisco. So we're seeing that. And then of course I don't remember her name, but the manager of the Tarpons down in Tampa is from the Yankees. There's a manager of the team, and fully recovered from her batting practice incident.
Got hit in the head.
Got hit in the face
by
with the
baseball.
ball. Yep.
Yeah.
So lots to watch. I did notice that your local team, the Albuquerque Isotopes, 10-14 right now in the Pacific Coast League.
They're they struggle, and they have been coming back with some behind. They get behind, they come up with some wins. But I will say I was really impressed. Saturday night's attendance at the game, over 12,000 people were at Isotopes Park. So that it just shows you they love their baseball in Albuquerque, love the Isotopes. It's like, I think we kind of, I can't say it enough. Go to minor league games. They're a lot of fun. It's a great way to introduce your kids to baseball. And because there's things that they get to do in between innings that you're not going to see at the major league level. Major league obviously is a lot of fun because you're seeing all the big stars, but minor leagues, you're seeing those up and coming stars. And it's like I say, it's just a fun night at the ballpark. So yeah, get out there and enjoy some minor league games, whatever level, single A, double A, triple A.
All right. And just because I should have known their names, I said the GM in Miami, Kim Ng.
Yes.
First base coach was out there, Alyssa Knockin for the San Francisco.
I knew it started with an A, and I was like, Ashley? No, that's not right.
Yeah, it's Alyssa. You knew better. You know more than me. And then Rachel Balkovec from the that's the manager of the Yankees single A club. And there's more out there, and we'll see them as they come around. But that's it's good stuff. We need the people who are qualified to do things should be in those jobs. Shouldn't be blocked out because of something. All right, Ted, let's take a look at what's going on around Major League Baseball. Let's start off with, let's do the months, because we've got players, pitchers, and relievers of the month. Let's start with the pitchers for April.
All right, so pitchers, MLB's Pitcher of the Month awards for April go to the Mariners' Logan Gilbert and the Marlins' right-hander Pablo Lopez. Gilbert was named the first American League Pitcher of the Month for 2022. He went 3-0 with a 0.40 ERA, 22 strikeouts in 22 and a third innings over 4 starts in April. He only allowed 2 runs and only 1 earned run in his first start of the year. He led the AL in ERA, and he beat 2 reigning division champions during the month, the White Sox and the Rays. Pablo Lopez had a almost identical stat line between the two. He went 3-for-0, 0.39 ERA, 23 strikeouts in 23 and a third innings in his 4 starts for Miami. And the only run that he allowed in April came during his first start before he closed out the month with 3 straight scoreless innings. So he leads the majors in ERA for the month of April, and he carries an 18 and a third scoreless inning streak into May. So pretty cool for Logan Gilbert and Pablo Lopez.
Interesting to see how long they can hold those numbers.
Yeah. And for our relievers of the month, we have the Brewers' Josh Hader and the Blue Jays' Jordan Romano. This is Romano's first time receiving the honor, Hader's 5th time. Romano saved 10 of the Blue Jays' 14 victories in April. He recorded a 1.59 ERA through 11 and a third innings. Opposing batters only a 195 average. They struck out 13 times. And then Josh Hader, I mean, it's Hader. He's throwing 9 and a third innings, only allowing 2 hits, 15 strikeouts. He has not allowed a run this season, and he has extended his MLB best scoreless inning streak of 29 and 2/3 into May. So Hader doing Hader things.
Exactly. All right. Who were the players of the month for April?
So one we know really well, and one that played for the Rays now plays for the Brewers, and that would be, surprise, surprise, Angels outfielder Taylor Ward and Brewers shortstop Willy Adames. They were both named players of the week. I mean, no player scored or drove in more runs last week than Taylor Ward.
He should have been named the player of the week for both leagues.
Right. I mean, they just sorry, it's just crazy. So, and we talked about him. I mean, he has 400 average, 1.271 OPS. Willy Adames, he had 4 homers, 1.203 OPS, but he had quite a game. He recorded against the Pirates. He recorded 4 hits, 2 homers, and a franchise record tying 7 RBIs when Milwaukee went on to beat the Pirates 12-2. And he also had a 2-run home run in a win over the Cubs a few days later. So, Josh Hader, reliever of the month, and then Willy Adames of the Brewers, both of the Brewers player of the week. And the Brewers are setting atop the NL Central at 15-8, which is not, we normally, they're kind of one of those teams that they just, I guess you kind of expect them at this point to be up in the top, be first or second. And it looks like Christian Yelich might be coming back to his former glory days, which we haven't seen in a while. So keep an eye
not
on
since
him.
we saw Cody in his glory.
Right.
days.
That's
Seems
right.
like they're both
the
connected.
Yelly versus the Belly.
Yeah.
Back then in 2019.
Kind of flopped, didn't it?
Yep.
All right. And then players of the month, Nolan Arenado, 375, 5 home runs, 17 RBIs for the month. Top 3 in almost all NL offensive categories. And then in the American League, the player of the month, Jose Ramirez, who hit 342 for April, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, which leads MLB.
Which is nice that Arenado, got the player of the month despite his suspension.
Yeah. You would think that would automatically eliminate you, but
right.
Nope. So he got that. A couple other little notes. It looks like Ronald Acuna Jr. made his way back to the big club, and his. Do you happen to have that? I think I sent you the tweet, but he was playing in Gwinnett, the AAA club of the Braves, and they put out a little tweet. It's like Braves just called up somebody that's not even in our rankings as a top prospect. Let's see how that works out. Something to that effect.
Yeah, Braves take a chance on a prospect who isn't even rated in our system's top 100. The Gwinnett Stripers tweeted out on the return of Ronald Acuna Jr. from his rehab assignment.
So he's back. We'll see how that affects the Braves, which I'm assuming as long as he comes in and plays, mostly like Ronald Acuna Jr., it's going to be a positive for them. Of course, didn't they win the World Series without him?
They did. They did.
So maybe you don't need him. And then Dusty Baker is on the verge of a milestone.
Yeah, 2,000 wins by a manager. He's 2,000, and it would be the first for a black manager. Really cool thing about Dusty Baker, I didn't realize this. He was a Marine.
Yes.
And I don't know why I didn't. I'm sure I heard that at some point, but I have to say, when he became the Asterix manager after the whole cheating thing, and he kind of, to me, I felt like he kind of fed into it. But now I see him and I feel like he has really taken over, as it's a different feel with him in the dugout now. For some, I don't know what it is, but I've always been a Dusty Baker fan. So I'm glad that I can like him again. Because I didn't really like him for a while.
So yeah, it was kind of hard watching, what and how he played it out. But yeah, it's I think a lot of things, as when Correa left the Asterix, that kind of changed things. I think if Altuve left, that Bregman probably, it would become less and less of an issue with him.
Yeah.
And probably Gurriel. All right. Well, without further ado, time to spin that wheel of ill.
Speaking of Dodgers, we talked about Blake Trinan with shoulder issues. He's on the 10-day IL, but Dave Roberts did say on Sunday that probably will be a little bit longer than what they were expecting. Andrew Haney hasn't picked up a baseball since he went on the IL. That does not, I don't think that bodes well, does not sound
Doesn't sound good. Nope.
So I'm kind of wishing I could take back that player of the week because
Well,
no. Did I jinx him? I don't know.
Maybe you did that.
I could have, and that would be sad. We talked about Shohei day to day, and then Matt Duffy was placed on the injured list. No injury indicated, which usually means COVID related. He was replaced by Jack Mayfield, who had been optioned on Friday, which was a surprise to me.
David Fletcher to come back up.
Yeah, right. So, but he's on the taxi squad. So they've got him close. They keep him close, Captain Jack. Eddie Rosario of the Braves, also 10-day unspecified, must be COVID. I mean, what else can it be? Trey Mancini is day-to-day with sore ribs in Baltimore. Eloy Jimenez of the White Sox, we talked about him. He's still on the wheel spinning, but he underwent surgery to repair a torn hamstring tendon, so he will be out. I think they said 6 to 8 weeks, but we'll see. Jonathan India had hurt his hamstring in a game against the Dodgers, came back, really enjoyed his stay on the wheel. He's back on the wheel with the hamstring, so probably came back too soon. Chris Bryant's first trip on the IL this season, or on the wheel with back issues. I didn't mention this when I was talking about the Angels, but Archie Bradley is on the 10-day IL, and he seems to be kind of back and forth. You see him pitch, and then you don't see him, and I think it's kind of the same thing. He has an abdominal strain, so he's back. Miguel Sano, he's having knee issues, and Rocco said it looks like he's going to have some kind of procedure. He didn't say surgery. He just said procedure.
Yes. That way it doesn't sound as bad. I can downplay it.
It's like, he just, has a same day procedure. It doesn't sound, it's just same day. No, it's not as bad.
Outpatient.
Joey Gallo's day to day with a groin injury. And San Francisco, they've got an outbreak going on, and they are reinstating those COVID protocols that, Major League Baseball had with, they want mask and cleaning procedures, because Brandon Belt, Dominic Leone, Steven Duggar, Mike Yastrzemski, and Zach Little all are on the COVID IL.
Well, we are seeing it pick back up. They had finally loosened the standards and no more mask on indoor big events. And, you can go, I think just about everywhere except for like hospitals they still have the mask thing, but, you're seeing more and more people without. And what happened? The numbers started going back up again.
Yeah. Also for San Francisco, Austin Slater, he has a right knee contusion. I think he's day to day, feeling a little bit better, maybe show up as a DH. And then our favorite, Jocelyn, is day to day with a right adductor strain, hitting too many home runs and straining his adductor. And that is it for the wheel of IL.
So before we bail out on you today, couple things. Number one, Manny Machado leads Major League Baseball in WAR and a few other, and it seems to be kind of quiet. I'm not hearing that much about San Diego, although there's a lot of talk about their pitching staff. And I believe this week when they're in Cleveland, Mike Clevenger is going to make his return and going to pitch against his old team for his first game back.
Yeah, he has jumped off the wheel. Yes.
So he's
gingerly
back in there. Yes, hopefully with that. Well, I mean, I don't care if he gets hurt again.
No.
And then, but when you look at who they have, they've got some great pitchers, and Blake Snell's not even been pitching yet. And
I think he had a rehab assignment, maybe, but Yeah, we still don't know if when he will be back. A lot of these guys are, TBD, to be determined, which is never a good sign.
Actually, bring them back, and then they'll still be TBD, to be defeated. Especially if they're part of the Cincinnati Reds, 3-19, 1-9 in their last 10. It's crazy. Anyway, I brought up the Padres because the Padres are the first team to do something that's on the horizon. And they're going to join. We're normally, and I'm going to say this correctly, normally when we see in soccer on a kit, that's what they call their uniforms. It's not a uniform, it's a kit, soccer kit. They play on the pitch. That's why it just, Anyway, if not for Ted Lasso, how many people would care about soccer, right? So
I wouldn't. I love Ted Lasso.
The San Diego Padres are the first team to announce sponsorship on the uniform. The NBA does it. They have a little thing on their uniform. I know, like what is it, Wish, which is like online, you can buy stuff cheaply from China, basically. The Lakers have that on theirs. You look at soccer jerseys, sometimes you can't even tell what number somebody is because or what team is that? Because there's more of it reminds me when I was in Little League Baseball, the first two teams I played for Paul's Market and Chesapeake Masonry. It wasn't, the Cardinals sponsored by Paul's Market, or like the Bad News Bears, the Bears sponsored by Chico's Bail Bonds. We were Paul's Market. That was the name of our team. Chesapeake Masonry, there was a team that was sponsored by Coca-Cola. That was what they played for, Coca-Cola. And I remember, that we were sponsored. One other team I played on was sponsored by an auto shop. So the name of the team was the Mechanics. But that's different than being Bob's Auto Shop.
Right.
So some of those teams, when you look at them in soccer, you can't tell. Well, the Padres will still have the Padres across that, but on their sleeve, they have a Motorola patch. Probably so they could try to cheat. It's probably got some kind of wiring in it, and they can.
Yeah. They could see. It actually doesn't look bad. It's not flashy. It fits right in with the brown and gold of,
right.
For Padres. I think it's brown, but
it's it's an advertisement, but it's complimentary to everything. It doesn't look bad. I know on Twitter I saw people putting in and out advertisements on Dodger jerseys with the whole big yellow arrow across it, and
yeah.
I don't know
we're
how it's
obviously
going
to see that. I could see the Dodgers having like a little like 76 patch,
Oh yeah.
or so, and you would see it. And if you don't know what 76 is,
what player wore 76? What happened to him?
Exactly. So it could work out in the Dodgers' favor. Also, I also read that the Dodgers were looking at, naming rights for Dodger Stadium, which a lot of people are up in arms about. I don't know when that will happen, if it will happen, but they said it will always be Dodger Stadium. It's not going to be, like here in Albuquerque, you have the famous pit where University of New Mexico basketball teams play, and it's the pit. There's a huge sign out there that says the pit, but they did have naming rights, and so it was Dream Style Arena or the pit at Dream Style Arena. No one ever calls it Dream Style Arena. It will always be the pit. And so hopefully the same thing will be with the Dodgers too, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then also see what other teams follow in the Padres' footsteps. And if more of them I could see the Mariners doing T-Mobile. They already play at T-Mobile Park. If more of them have technology companies
Maybe, but I wonder because T-Mobile, I mean, they could do that, but T-Mobile's also a major league sponsor.
That's
So
true.
I
So
wonder
maybe
because it's across the board.
yeah, that's true.
And
But
will Major League Baseball get involved in that, where each team will have a team that they're, like you said, the 76 or something that's Dodgers connected? Will Major League Baseball add an advertisement of their own? Maybe they put T-Mobile patches or
oh,
something on every
yeah,
uniform.
I don't
Is
know.
it going to become 7 different
I
things on
hope
there where
not.
you?
No. I'm okay with, like the patch that the Padres have. It's you see it, but it's discreet. It's not like flashy and out there. And even if, say, the Dodgers did like the 76 patch again, it's not, it's like it would be like, what number, what player, 76, who died, kind of
Right.
thing.
Why are they honoring?
Right. And you probably wouldn't notice it, but then when it becomes everything and you just, it's like in and out sponsors, Clayton Kershaw, on the back or
It comes individually. You know what it's going to become
Right.
like? Remember in Office Space?
Yeah.
Pieces of flair.
Yes.
How many
Yeah.
pieces of flair do you have?
And the
on
more
your
pieces of
uniform?
flair, the better.
Right,
Which
the
in this
better.
case is not. Don't do it, MLB. Don't do it.
I like that. Who's that guy standing next to Kershaw on the mound? Oh, that's the extra uniform. He doesn't really play. He's just got to be there because that's the extra advertisement. They needed
Right. It
more
didn't
space.
fit.
Didn't all fit on his jersey or his pant legs or
Yeah.
whatever.
I just don't want to see, there are iconic jerseys. The Dodgers are an iconic jersey. The Yankees, the pinstripes. There's just there's some that are just that they're just
Right.
iconic, and I don't necessarily have an issue with the sponsorship, but I don't want it to get out of control where it's just everywhere and you're like you said, what team is this? Who are we watching?
Right.
What is this? Is this baseball?
Hey, look, it's
I don't want
Paul's
that.
Market versus Chesapeake Masonry.
Right. Well, it would be now batting for Paul's Market, number 3, Chris Taylor.
But for this week's episode of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, remember you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB, and at our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Next week, we'll figure out what was the nickname that Jana alluded to but didn't share, and will a trip down to AAA shake things up for Joe Adele? All that and more on the next edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.